Hey guys, welcome back to another video game review, and today's video game review is going to be on Steelrising. This one I've had in my backlog for a while and I've been wanting to dive into it. Obviously, for obvious reasons, it's another Souls-like game. But in terms of Souls-like, how Souls-like is it? Well, it's pretty much straight down towards the middle of like what you would expect from a Souls game. You know, you're able to dodge, you're able to run, you're able to fight, and chances are you're going to die and respawn from where you originally was at. With this game's case, though, the question is it a Souls-like? Answer is yes, but is more Born-like than Souls-like. Allow me to explain. So, in this game, you play as this robotic character by the name of Aegis. And while, yes, you can level up certain perimeters and stuff, the interesting part is that reason why it feels like a Souls-like game is that number one, you do wield a gun. It's a separate weapon, but you do wield a gun. But you can also wield not so much of wide variety of weapons, but more so different tiers of like weapons that you can wield and stuff. Each weapon, depending on what you're holding, can be an elemental one at some point in time whenever you run into it. All the weapons are foundable. None of it is craftable, but the majority of it is upgradable. Now, again, this sounds interesting, but why is it more Born-esque than Souls-esque? The answer is that based on the items that you find. So, in Bloodborne, if you remember, there are blood vials that you can farm up, and then there are Quicksilver bullets that you can farm up as well. In this game's case, it's kind of like that. Yes, it has its own flask, but to be perfectly honest, I think that flask is unfortunately not as good. Now, unless you're trying to do one of the trophy requirements that requires you to not use these type of items, that's different. You can use this. But most of the playthrough that I went through, I used this regenerating item that regenerates my health for like 20 seconds, which is really nice actually, in all honesty. In fact, the majority of the time, I went through the game while trying to have this in my arsenal for like a little over half of my playthrough. Like, as soon as I realized, oh hey, this is farmable, that's cool. Oh wait, I can actually buy this now. Okay, game breaking by chance? It's kind of sad too, because it made the game a little bit easier for me, but at the same time too, you still do have a chance of dying in this game. It's just now knowing about this particular item, it's not as necessary. Now, of course, there is another item that's farmable, which is an alchemist vial, which is used for mostly for like elemental purposes, whether you're using the guns or if you're using like a charge attack or something like that. But also too, as you progress through the game and you beat certain bosses, you actually attain new type of attack patterns. One that allows you to shoot out fireballs, one that allows you to shoot thunder shocks, different variants of combos, and that uses up your alchemy inventory and stuff, which you can hold infinite number amount, which I thought was pretty interesting. You know, normally in Bloodborne, you can only hold up to 20 depending on if you just have the standard or if you have an item, a certain attachment that allows you to extend the amount of Quicksilver bullets that you can hold, which isn't by much. But in this game's case, you can hold an infinite amount regardless if you have 100, 500, so on and so forth. You can hold however much you feel comfortable with. In the same way with the restoring files, you can hold infinite number amount, never have to worry about running out unless you just go under 100 per se. So yeah, but in all honesty, there was one other element that I was very confused on, and that was the platforming in this game. Yes, despite the fact that this is a Souls-like game, it does feature platforming. If nothing else, it's more similar to that of Sekiro in terms of platforming. You know, eventually you can just dash into the next platform, you can grapple hook to another area and stuff like that. All of these different attachments, of course, can only be acquired when you defeat a certain boss in the game and everything like that. You also encounter other characters that give you side quests in order to progress either through the story or give you extra experience in order to get through the game and stuff like that. Overall, at the end of the day, the game's not bad. I have really two major gripes with it. Number one, The game can be short, depending on how you get through the game. Chances are you'll get through relatively easy. But the second thing is that it more boils down to the fact that like you have to learn everything by yourself. You know, you have to learn all the different items and everything like that. It wasn't until I found a compass that I realized what the compass was actually for, and really is more of an attachment tool that's infinite, that when you use it out in the field, it tells you the location of where certain things are. The only problem is it doesn't tell you specifically where to go. It tells you the approximate of where is most likely to be at. And until you get to that specific point, you're not really guaranteed of how to get there per se. It's not like one of those things where it's like, oh, I just go over here and oh, I go over here and stuff like that. It's like that, except a little bit more complex, and again, it has platforming, which makes it a little bit harder to navigate in, I'm afraid. With that being said though, the bosses, what are they like? Well, the main bosses are actually some of the most cooler and by far the most, depending, terrifying designs I've seen in a game. Now, again, they're all robots. You're not fighting any monsters, you're not fighting any humanoids, you're fighting nothing but machine. And in terms of designs of the machines, some of them are actually really good. The main bosses are really cool looking in my personal opinion. You know, this is why I liked Eliza P, because this is set in like a Victorian age. And you think about it, a cyberpunk-esque style of machine, it looks really cool. In this case, is more elegant in a way. They use mix of not only machinery, but also statue-like features to make them look more, I suppose in a way, more artistic is the word. Design-wise is really awesome. I absolutely love how they look. I just wish the game was a little bit more bigger in terms of like what all you could encounter. In terms of enemy bosses, not too bad. You can get through it. It depends on where you are in the story progression and where you are in terms of leveling and stuff. For me, by the time I got done with like 1 or 2 levels, I was able to get through the game relatively fine. Did I die a couple of times afterwards? Yes, I still died. That's to be expected. But afterwards, it wasn't as bad. Ultimately, I would still give this game a 4 out of 5 just for being pretty cool. I really liked the game. I really liked the story. I love the gameplay. The gameplay got really addicting for me and I really enjoyed it. The story ranges from like being interesting yet awkwardly, I suppose alluring is a word, because it's all political talk really. And I mean, obviously, yes, this is based on the French Revolution, in which where they're trying to revolt against the king himself. But it's like, it's pretty interesting of how they went to the dialogue choice and stuff. It was really interesting. I liked it. But ultimately, in terms of like, if you were to rank it from like a Souls material, it would probably be a 3-star. But in terms of game by itself, it's a 4. I'd give it a solid 4. So, with that being said, guys, that's going to be my overall opinions on Steelrising. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. This is BlackCross signing off. Catch you guys later.